What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate reverse rants, no hate. So, listen, Joyce versus Carlos Takam. It was a decent scrap, and I think a lot of people was more surprised at the fact that Carlos Takam was in the fight. Most people were saying they had it scored 5-0. I've heard some people say that they gave Joyce the first 2 rounds. I heard people saying they had it 5-3, but most people were saying 5-0. Now, regardless to how you had the fight scored, let's get down to this: the stoppage. Now, me personally, I think they stopped the fight too fast. Let's look at this. Carlos Takam was winning the fight. He was given punishment. He was taking some. Joyce, his typical style. Just fighting. He fights one way. He fights everybody the same way. Joyce doesn't switch up. He's not a switch hitter. He fights that one way. Now, let me say this as far as the knockout, the stoppage, okay? See, one of the biggest problems with boxing is decisions aren't consistent because you got different referees that some will let it go on longer and some won't. That stoppage to me was unjustified. Now I'm gonna tell you why, but at the same time I look at nothing. You know what? It's kind of shaky, and I'm gonna tell you why I say that. To me, no, I don't think he should have stopped that fight. No, all of this going out in your shield talk that fighters do, and people gotta understand, because you get buzzed. You stop the fight. Carlos Takam never went down. You understand? He got buzzed a couple of times. You saying, okay, boom, stagger him a little bit, okay. But Joyce was missing a lot of those shots, and he would land one here, miss, land one, miss. That's what was going on. We seen Deontay Wilder get hit by Luis Ortiz, and he was reeling all over the ring. And the referee didn't stop that. Deontay Wilder never went down either. Start of that next round, they gave him like 30 seconds extra to make sure he was okay and talking to him and checking him out. The ref didn't stop that. When Tyson Fury went down, and people complained, when Tyson Fury went down against Wilder, he wasn't getting beat up in that fight. He wasn't taking a bunch of punishment. He got 2-pieced, and he went down. Now, the way he fell, people were saying, oh, they should have automatically stopped it. And no, there's no rule that says he has to stop it. It's the referee's discretion. So even if you feel like, well, the referee gave him a chance by not stopping the fight, well, it's not a 10-second count, it's a 10 count. And people kept saying a lot of different things about that count. When he got up, look at what he did. Look at what he did. And he won the rest of that round. When Sugar Shane Mosley buzzed Floyd Mayweather, right? Twice. You seen him shake like Floyd, legs wobble, he got his bearings back. What if they would have stopped it then? Because pretty much that's more so what we saw with Joyce last night and Carlos Takam. He got buzzed a couple of times. Okay, and when the ref stopped it, now there was nothing coming back. Floyd wasn't throwing back either. He was catching shots, he was moving. He was catching shots, and he got rocked twice the same way. So if the referee would have stopped that fight, based on what? It's boxing. You get hit, you get rocked at times, right? It happens. Okay, so, as far as opponents are concerned, and people starting to criticize, that's just people, man. And it's like, I'm not really focused on that. You got people, even Derek Chisora, saying Joyce looked terrible in that fight. That. Look, let me say this, okay? Forget styles make fights. Forget all that routine speech bullshit. We just saw Andy Ruiz fight Chris Arreola, and he looked terrible fighting a journeyman. We just seen Joseph Parker get criticized because people really felt like he lost to Derek Chisora, who was a journeyman. Let's be real, okay? Chisora ain't want to fight. He's not getting the decisions. He's not a person that appeals, in the public eye overall as a fighter. Nobody's talking about Derek Chisora. I want to see him versus Anthony Joshua, or I want to see him in a rematch against Fury, right? People are just, they talk who's popular, who's popping right now. That's what they do. Joyce was losing, in my opinion. Carlos Takam was winning the fight. Now, what would have happened if they didn't stop it, we don't know, and it's irrelevant to say. But Joyce style, he tries to wear you down. And he throws his jab, even it like he's just touching you with it. It don't even like he put anything behind it. He moves. What wins fights for him? Okay, he does work off of his jab, his stamina, his durability. Because when you start getting tired, Joyce is going to try to turn up. We saw Carlos Takam start to slow down. We seen that. And Joyce decided, okay, let me turn up on him. And pretty much that's what he did. But Carlos Takam should have even been given the chance to be knocked down or out. Let's just be honest. He was catching, he was moving out of the way a lot of those shots. And he was, like I said, he was getting tagged here and there, but he was moving out of the way, and there was an immediate reaction. As soon as the referee stopped it, you seen him react right away. Now, what I will say for fighters is this. If you're saying, I was okay, I was fine, I was not hurt, I knew what was going on, then you either need to throw something back or either get your bearings by using lateral movement, not just going in a straight back line, not throwing punches because it looks like you're retreating. You understand what I'm saying? Now, I think he was a little more buzzed than what he said, because fighters always say, I was fine. Then you have to have the presence of mind and know, okay, I'm not throwing anything back, and you don't want the fight stopped. So it's not wise to throw something back if you're buzzed. Now, he said he was waiting for Joyce to tire, and I felt like he was starting to tire, and as I was about to come back, the referee stopped it. See, that part right there, if you were fine and you wasn't hurt, then you really should not be in a position where a guy's throwing a barrage of punches and you're just not throwing anything back at all. I mean, we've seen it happen with several people. We've seen Riddick Bowe did the same thing to Evander. Hit him, rocked him, was throwing bombs at him, hurt Holyfield, and then what happens? Holyfield comes back. I mean, it's like, listen, the referee's job is to protect the fighters, and we get that. But it's getting to a point where, like, goddamn, I mean, we might as well take the gloves off and just start slapping each other. Because it's like, as soon as a guy gets buzzed now, oh, it's over. Oh, no. And the thing is, like I said, it's not consistency with when a fight gets stopped, how it gets stopped, because you got different referees. And it's up to their discretion to decide if you had enough or not. But you can't have a bunch of punches being thrown at you, and then you get hit and you stumble a little bit. All right, we see that, okay, boom, he rocked you, and then you're not throwing anything back. So when you're protesting, saying that I'm fine, then you have to respond better than just not throwing anything. So maybe, it doesn't look like he was in any danger, like, oh, I'm about to fall any minute. I didn't see that. I seen him stumble like twice, and yeah, he got rocked. There's no doubt about that. Joyce rocked him, but I still think that fight was stopped too soon. I really think it was stopped too soon. And to be honest with you, see, a lot of people now, the wrong thing that they do, but they're going to do it anyway, they take it out on the fighter. Can't get mad at Joyce because the referee just stopped the fight. Because already, and I knew immediately after that happened, one of the first thoughts I had was, people are going to start saying, oh, they set that up. They waited until Joyce, the first time he starts to get the best of Carlos Takam and make him look bad, they stopped it because they want to secure that spot so he can fight Anthony Joshua, yada yada. And you already seen those comments, and it's like, I felt like, yeah, that's what they're going to start saying. You can't worry about those people. First off, the majority of the people, let's be real, that tune in to watch these boxing channels, to comment, most of them are negative anyway. And that's all they're looking to do is find something to complain about. Instead of giving you the breakdown or giving you their opinion, it's more like, oh, this was a setup. I can tell because, look, you can't blame the fighters for the decisions of a referee. Joyce had nothing to do with that. What's Joyce supposed to do? Nah, stop. No, let him keep fighting. He has nothing to do with that. Okay? It was, to me, a premature stoppage. But again, these fighters gotta understand. It doesn't make sense for you to say, I was fine, but you're not throwing anything back. Or even your movements to get out the way of the shots is more like I'm going just straight back in a straight line, getting hit, and then I move, but I'm not throwing anything back. And this guy's jumping on me. In fact, the thing is, Joyce is slow. He's so slow. And for him to be able to throw punches at you and you're not throwing anything back at all, it's like, yeah, you must be more hurt than you realize you are. So even though I'm saying I think it was a premature stoppage, when I think about that, I'm feeling like the referee may be looking at that like, yeah, you're not throwing anything back, and you hear referees talk about how certain guys got certain power and to take those kind of shots. And Joyce is not a big puncher. He has weight behind his shots, and it's an accumulation of shots that wear people down. He's not a big puncher. I mean, I saw him hit Bermane Stiverne with some shots, and that was a TKO. And he was rocking Bermane Stiverne and couldn't get him out of there. And Joyce, like I said, his best attributes, his chin, his stamina, and his relentless pressure of just coming, more so than his boxing skill. He can fight, but he's just slow. So his style works for him, man. He's somewhat like a George Foreman without the crazy power. It just keep coming, trying to put that pressure on you, and he works. His style works for him. So he knows what he's doing. But let me say this, okay? First off, congratulations. He did what he had to do. But Joyce is easy to hit, man. He's there to be hit. His problem is going to be when he fight guys. He fight a guy like AJ, a guy with power that can put combinations together. He's going to have problems because, see, when he's getting hit now, he's not getting hit with pop, pop, pop. Nobody's catching him with combinations. There's no fluidity in these guys' shots. It's just one shot at a time. And he's able to take that one big shot. Getting hit with by a guy that can punch like AJ consistently and to the body, upstairs, downstairs, breaking you down. You're not there when he tries to retaliate. You know what I mean? And can catch his shots. He's human. And if a fighter builds up in his head like, oh, his stamina, this and that, you've already defeated yourself with any opponent if you're telling yourself they got something you can't handle. But Joyce did what he had to do. Now, he's the mandatory for AJ. AJ beats Usyk. I'm interested to see this fight, and we see what happens. But he's going to have a problem with guys that can throw combinations and have power on top of that. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people, and I will catch y'all on the next video.